Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
Are you well?
I'm good, Chief Justice. Thank you. And how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Are you relaxed or as nervous as everybody else who was there, who was sitting on that chair?
I am relaxed,
Okay.
Chief Justice.
All right. Okay. Um, you you have been an advocate. Let me just check. My calculations are not always right. You've been an advocate for about 21 years.
That's correct, Chief Justice.
But before then, for some 10 years, you were an advocate in a prosecutorial capacity.
For 9 years, Chief Justice.
9 years.
Yes.
So you've definitely been active in the court system for about 29, 30 years.
That's correct,
Yeah.
Chief Justice.
Yes. Now, for how long did you act as a judge?
I acted for 39 weeks, Chief Justice.
39.
39 weeks. That's correct, Chief Justice.
At what stage did you acclimatize to that new environment? How long did it take you, in other words, to sort of settle down?
I'll say even during my first 6 weeks,
Yes.
Chief Justice, I felt comfortable.
Was
doing
there
the job.
support or you didn't really need it from colleagues who had been there for some time before you?
Yes, Chief Justice. I acted in both Johannesburg and Pretoria High Courts, and in both courts, the working environment was conducive. Other judges were supportive and helpful.
How did you cope with that workload? I mean, you hear judges of those divisions talk about the workload. It's somewhat intimidating from what they say. How did you cope? What was your strategy?
I was working long hours, Chief Justice. I remember my first 6 weeks in Pretoria, because I didn't want to go back to practice with reserve judgments. I booked a hotel. So I was staying in a hotel.
Who was paying?
I was paying, Chief Justice.
Your own pocket?
That's correct, Chief Justice.
Wow. Well, I must say we struggle from time to time with people who act either as attorneys or advocates. As soon as they go back to practice, you'll have to fight to get judgments back. Anyway, anything you want to say to substantiate your application, to tell us why you are the suitable person for appointment, or have you said it all? Your record speaks for itself.
Chief Justice, I applied for this position because I believe that I qualify. And I seek to be appointed because I am a fit and proper person to be appointed for this position.
Yes.
The positions that I occupied previously and the training, internal training that I have undergone, they have equipped me for this position. I have leadership qualities, I have management skills and experience, I have forensic investigation skills and experience, I have litigation skills, both in criminal law and civil law, and both as a defense counsel and as a prosecution counsel. I have acted as a judge for 39 weeks. And during that period, I have also acted as a senior judge on 5 occasions. And in one occasion, it was in the urgent court. 2 occasions, it was in the appeal section. And 2 occasions, it was in the motion court. And I believe, Chief Justice, that shows that my judge president trusts me and believes that I can perform at that level And therefore, my submission, Chief Justice, for my appointment is that I qualify to be appointed on the merit.
JP?
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. Lebo, Dumel.
Dumela, Judge President.
You've just told the CJ you've acted for 39 weeks, and that's what your spreadsheet says.
That's correct, Judge.
Could you explain to the Commission the reason for the break in acting between 2013 and 2017? Because there's a 3 or 4 year gap there.
Yes. From my personal viewpoint, I will say that I acted in 2013. That was the last term, my first time I acted. It was in 2013 for 6 weeks in Johannesburg, the last term. And then the first term of 2014, my younger brother's wife passed away, and she left a 3-month-old baby. And I was requested by the family to raise that baby. So it was difficult for me to raise a young baby like that and also act as a judge. But also, my judge president spoke to me and said that there was some talk from the bar that I was young. And he said to me that he said to the people that were making that comment that, tell me that she cannot do the work. Do not tell me that she is young. But according to him, they could not tell him that I could not do the job. So I also attended, Judge President, before I resumed the acting duties, the course for the aspirant judges, basic course for the aspirant judges, as well as the advanced course for the aspirant judges.
Thank you for clarifying that. You've done 3 weeks in the opposed motion court.
That's correct.
Did
Judge
you
President.
write all those judgments, or did you hand down some of them extempore?
I wrote some, and some I delivered extempore judgments.
What was your criterion in terms of deciding which should be imped, if one uses that forbidden language?
The criteria I applied, first, let me put it this way, Judge President. I believe that justice delayed is justice denied. So in cases where I preside and I assess that the matters are simple and straightforward, they don't require a lot of research, then I normally deliver extempore judgments.
I see.
But in matters that are of complex nature and require a lot of thought and research, there I believe that justice hurried is justice aborted. So I spent a bit of time on those matters and deliver written judgments.
Yeah. How long, what's the average time it took you to write those judgments in I think you did 3 weeks in the opposed motion court and 1 week in the third court, that was in Pretoria. What was the average time it took for you to write all those judgments?
I'll say the average was within 3 months.
3 months?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you've done quite a lot of work in appeals, 15 weeks in total. Did you sit in full court appeals?
I have sat in full court appeals, Judge President.
And did you write some of those judgments?
No, I never wrote judgments there. It has always been the senior judge writing judgments there.
Yeah, but in the full benches you gave judgments, isn't it?
I beg your pardon?
In the full benches, the
Yes.
2 judge appeals, you wrote
Yes.
some of those judgments.
No, I've never wrote them. Because some of the appeals, they collapse.
Oh, I see.
Yes, yes. Then you'll find that maybe it's only one appeal that is remaining that requires a written judgment, and then the senior judge will write a judgment.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope
I
you're
never
not,
had an opportunity.
yes. I hope you're not misunderstanding me.
Oh.
Full court is 3 judges.
Yes.
That's where you say you never wrote. But the
Yes.
full benches are the match court appeals.
Oh, where the 2 judges
Yes,
sit.
yes.
Yes, I've written judgments there.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've spent some time as as a state advocate.
That's correct, Judge.
That's where you dealt with criminal law. I've looked at your list of judgments. I think I could come up with about 13 judgments that you wrote in the criminal law field. Would I be correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Right. And you're quite comfortable that you can do the work of a permanent judge.
I am comfortable and I am ready, Judge President.
Okay. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, JP. MEC?
Thank you very much, Chief Justice, and good afternoon. I just want to get your insights into upholding the integrity and the values of the judiciary. I think this matter has been discussed and debated. There's been some comments in the previous weeks on that. Can you just share with me how would you uphold those values of maintaining the highest standard of morality and ethics and integrity of the judiciary? And whether there's not been anything found against you on the wrong side of that before, or complaint or something related to that.
Yes. I'll start by saying that as a judge, you are required, or let me put it this way, as a judge, you must uphold the rule of law, guided by the Constitution and the legislation. You must enforce the Constitution without fear, favor, or prejudice. Now, as a judge, you represent the court, and the court must be accessible. It must be independent. It must be impartial. It must be effective, and it must be dignified. The last part of the question, I don't know if it refers to when you say personally. I've not encountered a complaint. I don't know if it refers to the objection of Advocate Shakwani. I need clarity on that.
I was just checking if such matters have ever been raised with you.
No,
Okay.
no.
Because I saw this, so I thought you'll
No,
talk
they've
to
never
it.
been raised to me, no.
Okay. I'm okay.
Actually, to add, MEC, the report or prepared by GCB, they state there that they have received comments from other members stating that in court, I am polite and level-handed with counsel.
Commissioner Mpofu?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Lebu.
Good afternoon, Advocate Mpofu.
Yes. Okay, well, I must first disclose that I've known you since probably the first day when you came to do pupillage.
That's correct. Commissioner?
Yes. Yes, I wanted to deal more with this issue of the Shakwane objection.
Yes, Commissioner.
Unfortunately, as you know, I must also disclose that Shakwane SC is in my group of advocates.
Yes,
And you were also in that group at some stage.
yes,
Uh,
Commissioner.
I saw that there has been a response by Judge Mudiba.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Yes. But maybe in your own words, you can just describe, because what the circumstances which led to, because you, not you alone, as a bench, took the at least two extraordinary decisions. One, which was that the senior counsel and I think the attorney as well should submit an affidavit to you. And the second one was to impose a cost order against counsel and the attorney. Am I correct? Is it also the attorney?
Including the attorney.
Including the attorney, yes. So those two decisions obviously would not have happened, or at least don't happen in a kind of run-of-the-mill type of situation in a case. And if one reads Shakwane's objection,
Yes.
it's he feels very strongly that both of those actions were unjustified. And I also happen to know, I don't know if it is in his documents, that he also felt that he was treated in an undignified manner or was belittled by the bench. Can you comment on those and just deal frontally with that objection?
Yes. Commissioner, Judge Mudiba has responded to the allegations contained in that objection. And I will not repeat what she said. I just want to state that I struggle to understand the merit of that objection against me personally. There is nowhere in that objection where Advocate Shakwana and Advocate SC and Advocate Hutamo mentioned that I conducted or mentioned any misconduct against me during the proceedings. And I was a third member of that panel. It's just that I don't want to get into the merits because the judgment is still pending here. So I will try not to get into the merits of this matter. But I would like to say that the court has not taken a decision to award the personal costs. Instead, the court followed a procedure that they should submit the affidavits and state why personal costs should not be ordered. And Advocate Shakwana, as the member of the bar, there is a requirement that an advocate to Utamo, they should obtain permission from the bar council before they can file those affidavits. This order that was made by the full court, that they should file the affidavits, it is final and appealable. If they were not happy with it, they should have appealed. They did not. Instead, they are complying with the order because they applied for the permission to file the affidavits and it has been granted. But they have not filed the affidavits. And I need to state that this matter was heard beginning of the year, this year, that is 8 months ago in February, and they have not completely complied. The Advocate Shakwan was representing National Empowerment Fund. After the application was refused, that is the Rule 30 application was refused, and the leave to appeal was refused, the matter was postponed for the reasons to be forwarded or to be given. And Advocate Shakwan and Advocate Hutamo were removed from the brief by the National Empowerment Fund. The National Empowerment Fund appointed another counsel to continue with the matter, and the matter was argued. The judgment is reserved. So Advocate Shakwane and Advocate Hutamo are no longer part or are no longer counsel in that matter. The client didn't have a problem with the court order, and the matter has been argued. So I will say that, Commissioner, if Advocate Shakwan and SC and Advocate Hutamo had something against me, maybe believing that there was an unbecoming conduct on my part, they should have lodged a complaint with the Bar Council, because I am a member of the Johannesburg Society of Advocates, and that was not done. There is no pending complaint against me. Secondly, there is no pending appeal in this matter. What remains is for them to submit the affidavits, and then the matter is finalized. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you. You do appreciate that they were not parties to the in the matter. The advocates were not parties themselves. In other words, they couldn't appeal your judgment
Yes.
in that capacity. Okay.
Yes.
Now,
No,
thank you.
I'm saying if he was not happy with the order, that they should submit the affidavits.
The one against them,
That
yes.
one,
Fair
yes,
enough, yeah.
yes.
Sorry, okay, now follow up quickly is, then that's fine. The second issue is, as I said, the issue of being treated with indignity. And the way he related the story was that you and your fellow panelists were made a mockery of them and were giggling and that kind of thing. Did that happen, or, and if it did, what was the justification for that?
No, on my part, it did not happen, Commissioner. I did ask Advocate Shakwana SC few questions purely on the point of law during his submissions. I did that in a polite manner, and he responded in a polite manner. There was never any problem between me and him.
Did you notice any of that kind of behavior from any of your fellow panelists?
No, I did not notice it.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you so much.
Just
SC.
a quick follow-up, CJ.
Yes, sir.
Were you the most senior person in the panel?
No, I was the most junior person in the panel.
Indeed.
Commissioner Nyambi?
Thank you, CJ. Afternoon, Advocate.
Afternoon, Commissioner.
No, the first question has been correctly covered by Commissioner Mpofu. I'll
Yes.
ask you just one question. What's your view of the representation of women judges in South Africa compared to our demographics, where women far outnumber men?
My answer will be, there is a significant progress since 1994 in terms of the demographic composition. However, transformation is not an event. It is a process, and more women still need to be appointed. But the most important thing now is that the society has confidence in our judicial system.
Thank you, Advocate.
Thank you,
CJ.
Thank you, Commissioner Nyambi. No, not yet, Commissioner Nyambi.
Thank you, President.
Commissioner Singh.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you, President. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, advocates. I
Good
must say I'm
afternoon,
very
Commissioner.
impressed with your career paths thus far. And
Thank
I
you,
note that at
Commissioner.
a very young age, you were appointed a senior state advocate dealing with white-collar crimes.
That's correct, Commissioner.
And after that, you also worked in a multidisciplinary team
That's correct, Commissioner.
dealing with money laundering and things like that.
That's
and I thought I
correct.
should take advantage of the fact that you are here. Just to tell us briefly, share with us whether you think we are on top of this white-collar crime and money laundering, and to what extent it's affecting us in this country economically.
Currently, Commissioner, I'll say we are not. I think the problem lies with the investigation. And, well, I know that we've got hawks in the country, but I think more needs to be done by government to, as far as resources are concerned, to go deeper to investigate such kind of crimes, as well as the prosecution team, because it is affecting our economy.
We politicians take very serious note of what you are saying, and it's something we've got to go back and talk about, because it is indeed a cancer in our society.
Yes.
That these people who can afford legal teams, and with respect to the legal people here, counsel, senior counsel, can get away with some of these things, while ordinary person who steals a packet of chips gets put into jail for a year or so.
Yes, yes.
But thank you for that.
Yes.
It's something.
Thank
we'll
you,
take up.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. Commissioner Makwanisha?
Thank you very much, President. Good afternoon, Advocate Mayisela.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Can you enlighten me, what made you to leave the bar after just 1 year between 1997 and 1998 to join the NPA and to come back in 2008?
Commissioner, when I joined the bar as a pupil in 1997, I was direct from the university. I did my pupillage with the Johannesburg Society of Advocates, and I successfully completed it in the same year. Let me say, just before I wrote the bar exam, there were talks that exam is very difficult. Few people pass that exam. So during that time, I saw the advert for the post of senior state advocates, and I applied for that post. I also proceeded, wrote my bar exam. I passed on first attempt, and I was admitted as a member of Johannesburg Society of Advocates. I practiced for 7 months, and then I was informed that I am successful on my application for an appointment for a senior state advocate. That's the reason I left the bar after 7 months. I worked at NPA for 9 years. I left the NPA. I resigned due to family commitments. I had to relocate to Johannesburg. Then I got employed with Sizwe Nsaluba, a VSP, now known as Sizwe Nsaluba Gobodo, as the National Director, Head of Forensic Division. Within few months in that department, Commissioner, I developed a nostalgia about the practice of law. I truly wanted to go back to practice. That's when I applied to be readmitted as a member of Johannesburg Society of Advocates. But another reason for that, from the time I was a young girl in high school, I had an ultimate objective of becoming a judge. My uncle was a magistrate in the Eastern Cape. He was my role model. I wanted to be more than him. He encouraged me to work harder, and I did. I remember when I was at the University of Fort Hare, after I passed my Bachelor of Law degree with distinction, I was offered scholarship to go and study my master's in Europe. I declined, Commissioner, because of this dream of becoming a judge. It never escaped me since. The reason I declined is because at that time, judges were appointed from the legal profession of advocates. And to be an advocate, you needed to have a BUris degree or BProc and LLB. So I could not go to Europe and study masters after a junior degree. I needed to do LLB in SA and qualify as an advocate. So I also went back to the bar in order to work towards becoming a judge. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. The last question, thank you very much for the response.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Will your training in cyber forensics assist you in your role as a judge, and how?
That's correct, Commissioner. It will.
And how?
How?
It will assist, Commissioner, when matters that have got legal issues relevant, like related to that field of law, are before me. It will assist in the adjudication process.
Well, it may interest you to know that we only started training ourselves in that field, I think about 2 years or so ago. We never had the exposure before. So you are lucky in case you're appointed. President
Thank you, Chief
Maya?
Justice.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good afternoon, ma'am. I would just like to find out from you how you have coped in the Johannesburg bar as a black woman, a wife, and a mother.
Thank you, President Maya. It's not been easy. As a woman, I have many roles to play. I am a mother, a wife, an advocate, and sometimes I get assigned to do some duties in my church. So I'll call myself a servant in my church as well. So I'll say that you can call me 4-in-1 because I have 4 major roles that are important to me to play. Now the challenge is time management, making time for all those roles. As I said earlier on, that I sometimes work in the night or work over the weekends. And as a female advocate at the bar, it's not easy to get good work. By good work, I mean quality and complexity. I started getting work from state attorney long after I joined the bar. However, in my case, I have alternative work from the private law firms, and that's what keeps my practice busy.
Do you get sufficient work from the state attorney?
I don't.
And what about your other colleagues, black and female?
I don't, President Maya. Particularly this year, they have changed the system. There is this system that they must get 3 codes. And that system, it appears that it's mainly focused on getting work done for a cheaper price. It's not focusing on giving good work to previously disadvantaged legal practitioners. So, as I say that I am privileged, even though I'm not getting sufficient work from them, I am privileged because I have a good relationship with my private attorneys. But I can only think about junior advocates at the bar. They are struggling, President Maya. I have heard that even because sometimes I attend the women forums organized by the Bar Council, they are struggling, President Maya.
Thank you, Chief Justice. It's a pity that the minister is not here to hear you.
Yes. No, thank you so much, President Maya. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
You're excused.
Thank you, Chief Justice and the commissioners.